Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Inevitable Excess with me, Bring It On. Speak to Thaberdeen. The man, who's looking a little worse for wear in his dirty clothes, is mournfully gazing into space, not paying you any mind. His head is sloppily adorned with a golden crown bearing an engraving that reads, I am king. Who are you? The man's glazed eyes shift to you. He opens his mouth. You're instantly engulfed in a suffocating cloud of stale alcohol. Your keen sense of smell discerns the heaviness of strong black beer, the sharp oaken hints of whiskey, the dry sourness of wine, and the heady sweetness of honey liquor. Today, however, you wish your sense of smell were a little less keen. The man barks in a cracked voice. I don't know you. Who are you? There's not a single sign of recognition in his bleary eyes. I'm Don Quixote, the commander of the 5th Crusade. The 5th? That's a lot. Sounds rough. So then, who am I? He gives you a puzzled look, stares at his boots, and scratches his balding head with an expression of profound confusion. Then you look. This guy can't remember who he is either. Maybe we're looking at another great scientist. That is entirely possible. My dear colleague, are you currently working on a research project of any kind? Colleague? No, that's a silly name. I'm not colleague. Where am I then? Knock on his engraved crown. You're a king. He carefully removes the crown from his head, slowly reads the engraving, mouthing every word, then says with emphasis, You are quite perceptive. After being put through the rigorous intellectual exercise you inflicted, the man's mind begins to stir sluggishly. With a look of blissful epiphany, he pulls out a flask. It's empty, but he perseveres and manages to shake out the few remaining drops, and some semblance of consciousness appears in his eyes as he sighs. I'm all out. The man glances at you and smiles brightly. Oh, Commander. Hey there. I mean, greetings to you, my brave general. Would you do your good King Thaberdeen a service? I have a few questions for you. Her Majesty generously wants an audience. Just ask. Have you at least remembered who you are? You bet. I am Thaberdeen Quintissimus, Triumphant, heir to the dynasty of Sarkorian kings who have returned from exile. And you, noble warrior, gave me my family's crown back, right? While the bombast at the beginning of Thaberdeen's speech, by the end of it he seems to have stopped believing his own words, as I look at you apprehensively. Well, in that case, long live the king. Phew. I mean, that's a spirit, my good subject. What are you even doing here in the first place? Do not speak to your king in such a dismissive tone. He has enough on his plate as it is. My poor lands are being trampled by unholy demon hooves. The people despair. They call out to me, hoping, sending their complaints. His Majesty set out on a journey across his realm, with his good friends and loyal comrades in tow. Come to think of it, where are they? Oh well. Anyway, I've dubbed it the Worldwound Mile. We rode down the Grey Road, and at every spot where you defeated a demon army, we celebrated your glorious victory. It went swimmingly, all the way up to Eyes, and after that, I can't remember. How you managed to avoid getting eaten by demons on the way here is beyond me. Haven't you heard that drunkards are lucky? Drunkards and also idiot royalty. I remember us running into a couple of horrors, but I valiantly hopped on the back of my trusty mount, a Marchioness von Candy Snoutoff. Hey, where is the Marchioness? Thaberdeen looks around worriedly. What do you remember about me? I must admit, not much. About you and in general. Remember that you're, well, cheerful, and that your jokes are funny, and that your Dresden is a lot more fun than anywhere else. You've got rivers of beer and fools cartwheeling down the streets. If demons get close to the walls, you tell them a wisecrack that'll make them split their sides, and they die. Okay. So I'm almost positive he's a trickster character from that mythic path. Well, that's it for this round of questioning. When you say the word round, a sweet, dreamy haze falls over Thaberdeen's eyes. Looks like he could really go for a round of something. What service do you wish to ask of me? Aberdeen is mysteriously silent. Is this pause for dramatic effect? His Majesty opens his mouth and expels the contents of his stomach right at his feet. The horrifying sounds that he makes during the process have some primeval, fierce might to them. Then again, they could just be considered absolutely disgusting. Aberdeen delicately dabs at his mouth with a filthy handkerchief. Where was I? Ah, right, the service. Last night, my Majesty had one too many matters of state to handle. Very exhausting. They could really use a drink of some refreshing elixir. If Aberdeen's speech is slurred, you understand what he's saying, to a degree. If you bring me all the ingredients I need for it, I'll give you a kingly reward, because I'm a king. What's the recipe for this magical elixir of yours? Aberdeen's mumbling is like verbal slush, but you're able to pick up a few words. Donkey's moss, into the pot. Wretchweed, the blackish sword, into the pot. Gunkberries, into the pot. Right, mulbloom root, into the pot. No, anomaly, don't put any in the pot. Make sure you remember what goes in the pot and what doesn't. He cackles and wags his finger at you. Moonshine made of moss and roots. Are you sure you're not a mongrel, my good man? This cooking tradition feels awfully familiar. So I assume he's going to reject this. So offer with Aberdeen alcohol. Who needs that moonshine anyway? I've got a little something here. Have some. Aberdeen takes a long, greedy swig of the bottle you handed to him. But after a moment, he starts vomiting again. He coughs and says hoarsely, I can't take it anymore. Need to brew the healing elixir. Well, I know that they exist because I have them in my inventory. I'm going to say this anyway. That doesn't sound like a very good recipe. I doubt any of these ingredients actually exist. Hey now. I got it from my dearest father, Angoverus Hierophantal. He was a king too, mind you. He, told me that at some, point, he, saved, Hey, do you have any water? Aberdeen's mind has clearly wandered off, has no intention of getting back on topic. What an odd name. Angoverus sounds just like... Rushlai lowers her voice. Oh, I understand now. He's making everything up. I'll get you your moonshine ingredients. You mean my elixir? Anyway, get to it. And hurry. My head's going to kill me before long. My good sir, you can't drink liquor, especially not in such a state. Allow me instead to give you a potion that will cleanse your body of all poisons and cease your headache. Bah, all healers are the same. You can't do this, you can't do that. I'm a king. I can do anything. But unless your potion's got alcohol in it, you can chug it yourself, Doc. Alright, everything is ready. We can start on the moonshine. Elixir. Aberdeen immediately points at the pot. Chuck it in there. Remember the recipe, don't you? You're positive the recipe included donkey's moss, wretchweed, gunkberries, and mulbloom rot. And that you absolutely shouldn't add anomaly. Alright, so add the donkey's moss. Helps the picked moss sink to the bottom. Aberdeen says disapprovingly. You always grab a handful of dirt along with the moss. The dirt adds more fragrance to the elixir. Add the wretchweed. As soon as the weed is added to the brew, or into the brew, it exudes exactly the kind of aroma the plant's name suggests. Add the gunkberries. Berries hiss aggressively as they dissolve in the pot's contents, which does not bode well for the stomach of anyone who decides to taste this swill. Add the mulbloom root. The succulent gurgle, the mulbloom vanishes inside the pot, enriching the brew's bouquet with a fine hint of dirty socks. That will do. Now we wait. Aberdeen stares at the pot impatiently, thumping a tankard against his hand. It seems that Valmallos, Sameshnik, and the whole world with him will have to wait for a little while. Son of a gun. I saw my buffs again. Done. Time for the tasting. Aberdeen generously scoops out 2 full tankards, one of which he promptly hands over to you. Now we need a fitting toast. To victory. Hear, hear. To the commander's victory. Officer Chorus's victory. Over the hordes of foul devils that have invaded my kingdom. Demons. That's what I said. In one mighty gulp, Aberdeen knocks back the whole tankard. Aberdeen grunts, snorts, goes red as a tomato, then smiles satisfied. He clears his throat and says with authority, "There we go. Now give those demons a good thrash." Before Aberdeen can finish, he straightens his back and comes crashing down to the ground. It must have looked the same when the towers of Tarbaffan's fortress crumbled under the last of Zalani's blows. Majestic, inescapable, and fearsome. The uproarious snoring heralds the conclusion of this audience. His Majesty is weary. You sense the ground beneath your feet is a little firmer than before. The color is more contrasting, and the sound sharper. Your actions have brought a modicum of stability to this place. Alright, so I have a tally. I think it's accurate. Of all the order and chaos choices I've made. I also have it split up between the rifts that we find that we just repair or tear, and the quest choices that I've made. Because I don't know if there's going to be a difference between those. So right now I have 4 for order, if I'm not mistaken, and 3 for chaos. So I don't know what I'm affected by. His Majesty is smiling in his sleep, happily and peacefully, like a baby. I wish I knew what he did to me. Oh, is it this? I'm going to assume that it's this. I thought it was the Death Ward. You gain a Anomaly Eradicator. You gain a +2 luck bonus on saving throws against the Anomaly Distortion effect. There's also a 33% chance that distortion will not occur. It is permanent, so I can rest safely and rebuff. Though I'm afraid about resting because... We have a couple more fights ahead of ourselves. I'm going to try to not rest and rebuff. See how far I get. Hello, Aranka. The blue-eyed bard is engrossed in studying stacks of crumpled pages, which are bathed in an anomalous shimmering haze. He feverishly whispers something under her breath. From time to time, she grabs a pencil and jots down some notes. She does not notice you right away. Once she does, she cries out, "Commander, I've been searching for you. I meant to go searching for you. Come and see what I've got." Welcome, Aranka. How are the Free Crusaders faring these days? Oh, wonderfully. Just wonderfully. We've had a lot of changes on the island. Big changes. You can't even imagine. I think I can, since it probably crashed to the earth when I gave up my powers. Well, go on. Ask me what's changed. Aranka is practically bursting to share the news with you. Alright then. Tell me what you remember about me. Aranka stares at you blankly at first, and then, eyes flashing, she reluctantly says, "Ah, somebody's told you that I'm composing a ballad about your life's journey. No, I won't perform it for you now. It's not ready. But since you're so interested, I'll say that I plan to cover all the key moments of your adventures in the Worldwound. I'll tell of how you took a ragtag band of volunteers under your wing and turned us into an army of free crusaders. How you nurtured a spirit of freedom and friendship in us, and you met your loyal companion, the little dragon Ivu. Speaking of Ivu, where is she? She's off painting the mounts again while the soldiers are taking a break. And, of course, I'll tell of how you entered the Abyss and returned at the head of a host of slaves whom you had freed." After a moment's thought, she adds, "Yes, it sounds rather dry, like a history book. Add some color by mentioning that you're a good friend, that you never put on airs and graces. That will be even better." What are you holding? This is the last requiem of Maestro Ekle. Completed. You understand. He died before he could finish his last work, but here it is. I've seen the Maestro's handwriting 1,000 times. This is the real thing. Veronica gazes at the sheet of music like it's a precious relic. And I have many more treasures that are just as wondrous. Many, many more. Where did you get this sheet music from? It was a gift from the Portal of Wishes. That's why I came to your camp, to tell you about the portal. Oh, it's so marvelous. A Portal of Wishes? What's that? It calls itself that because it's a portal that grants wishes. Okay. Guess that's apt. It just appeared out of the blue one day in the middle of the Free Crusaders camp on our flying island. It's such a sweetheart. It can give you whatever you want, even things that don't exist. And the whole camp is inundated with all kinds of things that we wish for. I thought it'd be very mean not to tell you about this marvelous miracle. Everyone should hear about it. It calls itself the Portal of Wishes. Don't you mean you call it that? No. Well, yes, we do. But so does it. It's not an object. It's alive. And it's friendly and funny, and such a dear. What do you pay in exchange for these wishes? Is this portal dangerous? It does it all for free. No contracts, no traded souls, deals, or debts. It's no lousy devil. The portal does everything above board. And no, it's completely harmless. One of the halfling warriors wished for a rather silly thing. A sword with 4 blades sticking out in every direction. Of course, it was only a matter of time before he tripped and impaled himself on his own weapon. But the portal enchanted the sword in advance, so that its blades could not wound its owner or his friends. Wasn't that considerate? I'll go see this portal for myself. Excellent. Now listen carefully. The portal is usually asleep, so you have to wake it up if you want to make a wish. In front of the portal, there are 3 chests. You have to place the correct items in them. All these items must be found on the island. You cannot bring them with you. You need to find something shiny and deceptive, something sonorous, and something light and very beautiful. At first, I just put whatever I found into the chests until I managed to wake the portal up. Later, I learned the required combination. Also, all 3 objects must be from our island. I don't know why, but the portal looks down upon other trinkets. The Free Crusaders have all kinds of loot there. I'm sure you'll find what you need. Remind me, how do I wake the Portal of Wishes? I've already read all that. Alright, I have other things to do. Hello, I'm giving you my undivided attention, Commander. Veronica is entirely focused on the pages in her hands. It appears to only be half listening to you.
I swear it.
Expected outcome.
I will resist.
Did you see that?
The light. Take you.
You've crossed the wrong mark. You won't survive.
Everybody in tip-top shape.
I will help where I can.
I'm split about taking these fights without having all my buffs up. I should probably finish all the conversations first anyway, since some of them seem to be pushing us forward in time and I don't want the rest of my buffs to drop off.
The goddess protects us.
Let's talk to Yaz first. A commander, your worthless slave prostrates himself before you. The demon gives you a swaggering bow. But remind me, who are you? I understand. Your slaves are so great in number that the faces of even those closest to you are not worth remembering. I'm Yaz, leader of the Illusionary Assassins Guild, and your faithful servant. Glory be to Don Quixote. But what are you doing here? I'm hunting down unworthy creatures, eradicating all kinds of aberrations that could attack your forces from behind. Have you noticed the startling increase in their numbers recently? They can look like demons or mortals, but there's something abnormal in all of them. I've made a habit of tracking them down and killing them, for the good of your mission, of course. I remember killing you. Your words ring hollow, or is that a threat? Yaz rarely ducks his head and hunches his shoulders, but his wide grin tells you that he's not afraid of you. But what do you remember about me? I remember that you came to Lucianira a nobody. Within days, you had the city eating out of the palm of your hand. Chimera the Ardent Dream lost her throne. Demons began flocking to the Midnight Isles, eager to earn even the tiniest sliver of your favor. You led a howling horde of abyssal spawn to Golarion, and all bowed down to your might before your might and brutality. That is how I remember you, and that is how the Abyss remembers you. How can you be of use to me? I'm planning to kill someone for you, my lord. Someone dangerous. Someone who wants you dead. Who are you hunting now? Chimera the Ardent Dream has abandoned Lucianira and the Abyss. She's come to Golarion. Now that beast is roaming the mortal plane, killing all in her path, and she's coming for your head. I plan to help you get rid of her, but I need your advice about how best to deal with her. What compelled Chimera to leave her cozy nest in the Abyss and come to the material plane? She was sick of being Nauticula's right hand. Since the Lady in Shadow isn't planning to invade Golarion, Chimera decided she should lead the incursion herself. What exactly is she doing? Devouring the souls of anyone who strays across her path. Chimera always did have a taste for mortals. Right now she's on the binge of untold proportions. It appears she is becoming more powerful with each soul she consumes. Why do you need my advice? Yaz falters for a moment. Perhaps I'm slightly anxious about the confrontation ahead. Chimera was exceptionally powerful before. Now her might is even greater. I have some advice for you. I'll humbly receive your wisdom. How should I prepare for this fight? Which plan should I choose? I have plenty of suggestions. Number 1. You know that the practice of performing fearsome pre-battle dances is widespread in Garund. The dances are designed to raise the spirits of the most bloodthirsty warrior, ensure good luck in battle, and of course, to strike terror in the hearts of the enemy. Number 2. I don't need to hear any more. Dancing in front of Chimera is something I will not do. Look closer at Yaz. Oh, did I roll a 1? Yaz seems to be genuinely anxious about the coming confrontation. Perhaps he is not as certain of victory as he would like to appear. Yeah, start off with a dirty trick to weaken your enemy. You're so wise, Commander. I'll be sure to follow your advice. Now, if you allow your servant to take his leave of you, I must prepare for battle. I can't believe I failed that. I only had to roll a 2, and I rolled a 1.
I know the way. Our victory is certain.
Mind over muscle.
Let's try this way.
I'm not a fan of what's going on over there.
Please help me.
Much lightning damage. Or electricity damage, whatever it is.
Your performance is
Irrational.
lacking. You are lacking.
You should have listened to reason.
Did I mess up again?
Legs are shaking. Peculiar.
This is getting super annoying. Alright. Let's bring all of them back. I have all these dialogues. Getting rid of my buffs because it keeps making time pass. I'm running out of resting opportunities. I guess I could always go back to the other side of Threshold and rest in that house. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. So I'm pretty sure that's considered a safe place. I don't know if it'll get rid of... corruption or not.
There's beauty hidden in the darkest of places. Too bad no one can see it.
Time's not waiting.
But at the very least, it should give me my passive back. As I'm hoping it will. The legendary effect, where I don't generate abyssal corruption when resting.
Follow my lead.
So here's Mephistopheles. If I go any further, we're going to run across another rift. I just kind of want to take a peek real quick and make sure that... Yeah, we're right beside it. So let's deal with this first.
As it should be.
And what I'll do off camera is go ahead and rest and buff up. And... well, I guess it's only the 2 rifts. And we'll see. See if I'll buff up before that. I might just buff up before we go back to eyes, because we have a lot to do there. Greetings, Commander. The tall devil smiles archly at you. His 2 identical copies flanking him on either side nod politely. Have you given any more thought to striking a deal with your old friend Mephistopheles? Who are you? All 3 of the devil's copies look at you in astonishment. How easily this mortal creature is forgotten, who was to open the gates of hell to him. I am Mephistopheles, ruler of Cana, archdevil of hell, and I dare to hope, your faithful ally. Humbly note that without my invaluable help, you never would have managed to secure such an advantageous contract with hell and sink so low. This thanks to the harshness and ruthlessness I have instilled in you. Your forces are now but a step away from victory. What do you remember about me? I remember you as a promising, merciless judge, whose name struck fear and awe into the hearts of all. A fine start to a career, one more befitting a devil than an Aeon at that. Nonsense. I remember it all quite differently. Remember that you surrounded yourself with useless buffoons who clamored for your attention and brought you no benefit. When circumstances required you to make a serious sacrifice and choose, you jettisoned that ballast. First, you were a corrupted Azada, and then you became an exceptional devil. Okay, so you can either be an Azada or an Aeon before you turn into the devil path. So that's cool, it's a cool reference to that. Welcome to the Crusader camp, then. I thank you for your hospitality. I have no plans to abuse it, and I intend to leave the camp as soon as you render me a service, freeing me of this tedious tripartite existence. Why are there 3 of you? You see, Commander, of late, I have sensed a strange wrongness within myself. I felt a shift in my very nature. I've been invaded by a touch of the chaotic, whereas I, as a devil, ought to embody the principles of evil and lawfulness. My lawful side tells me to destroy myself, for I'm a violation of nature. My evil side tells me selfishly to safeguard my own life and do myself no harm. Therefore, I tend to offer myself up for judgment. Except, who could pass judgment on me, an archdevil? Only Lord Asmodeus, or myself. That's why I've split myself into 3 parts: judge, prosecution, and defense. But if I alone participate in this trial, there'd be no trial at all but a farce. So I'm asking you to join in as the lone juror. Where did this wrongness come from? I wish I knew. I simply felt it within myself, and knew that I was not as I had been before. Now I am something different, something wrong and unnatural. And why should I be the one to pass judgment on you? Who else would I ask? I will not allow myself to be judged by just anyone you know. You, Commander, are an exceptional being, and I trust your intellect. And I'm loath to return to hell in my current state, and submit myself to the judgment of the great Asmodeus. And what will happen if you find yourself guilty? It all depends on the sentence. I presume in that case, the devil Mephistopheles will be unmade and wiped out of existence. Well, there's something you should know. We're in the prison of the inevitable Valmallos, and you're an illusion corrupted by the influence of Silmeshnik, the primordial protean. After a brief pause for silent contemplation, the devil replies, "Your words ring hollow, Commander. I've never written such a thing into any contract. Okay, I will participate in your trial. In that case, let us begin. The defendant, the devil Mephistopheles, stands accused of being a living violation of the cosmic order. His fundamental nature has been corrupted by the influence of chaos. The prosecution believes that the defendant's nature is lawful, first and foremost, and evil only to a lesser degree. Therefore, the prosecution demands that he be found guilty and sentenced to complete and irreversible unmaking. In this hearing, the defense intends to show that it is the evil side of the defendant's nature which prevails over the lawful side. The defense hopes that the court will take into account the egotism of the defendant's soul and overlook any incriminating evidence and acquit. The court will examine the defendant's past, present, and future. The commander, who so generously agreed to take part in this trial, will play the role of the jury. His opinion and assessment will be taken into account by the court. However, the verdict will be mine to deliver. On that note, where shall we begin? Let's take a look at the defendant's past. The defense counsel unfurls a long scroll. In the past, the defendant has concluded many unequal and detrimental contracts, and deals with mortal beings, condemning their souls to eternal slavery in hell. To wit, the defendant acquired the souls of the farmer Latko, no last name, in exchange for providing 3 days of rain over his field in southern Varissia. The defendant required the soul of King Lafer VI, in return for providing a trained army for a conflict with rebel barons. The defendant acquired list of nobles, peasants, knights, criminals, dark sorcerers, fishermen, and dignitaries blurs into an unending tale of avarice, desperation, souls bought and sold, crimes committed, and eternal torment in hell. Now listen in silence. The seemingly endless list of mortals deceived by the defendant ends with the triumphant words. And of course, the defendant acquired the soul of a naive 16-year-old Sally Hemps in exchange for resurrecting her pet hamster. A gullible young woman trapped in an eternal servitude for a hamster. As the court can see, the commission of such nefarious acts constitutes the defendant's main occupation, from which we must conclude that his nature is first and foremost evil. Thus, taking into account his evil nature, we ask the court to allow the defendant to go free. However, Sally Hemp's hamster was resurrected in accordance with the agreement. What is more, it was granted the maximum lifespan for a member of that species of rodent. The prosecution sees the defendant's actions as evil, yes, but they also display an undeniable propensity for upholding not only the letter but also the spirit of the contract. This is evidence of the defendant's lawful nature. Thus, as a lawful creature, the defendant must be found guilty. His existence, which contravenes the laws of nature, must be immediately terminated. If you ask me, he should be punished just for being what he is, no good scum. Has the accused ever broken the terms of a contract? Never. The defendant has an unholy reverence for the law and the inviolability of contracts. He is very well aware of the severe punishment that awaits those who commit such infractions. Has the accused ever helped anyone for no remuneration or on terms that were not advantageous for him? Not a soul, whether belonging to him or not, could accuse the defendant of such a thing. Such behavior would do considerable damage to his evil reputation. And this one's harder, so I guess we'll go with this one. Now the prosecutor. The defendant has always upheld his contracts. His motivation for doing so does not matter. I strongly support the juror's position. While the defendant may be evil by nature, his evil tendencies did not lead him to swindle mortals out of their souls, which means that the proclivity for lawfulness is stronger within him. The court has heard the juror's position and finds itself in general agreement. Discussion of the defendant's past deeds is hereby ended. Let's talk about recent events. The accused recently took up the position of advisor to the commander of the 5th Crusade. The defendant then encouraged the commander to abdicate from his responsibilities and instead to accept the authority of hell. The defendant secured a contract to grant the commander the powers of a devil, which he did in full without deception. Prosecution asked the court to view this as evidence of the defendant's lawful nature, and sentence him to destruction as the law dictates. Securing this contract with the commander significantly raised the defendant's standing in the hierarchy of hell. Indeed, the fact that the defendant insinuated himself into the commander's trust under a false name and identity, and opted for a strategy that was based on deceit, marks this act out as evil, rather than entirely lawful. As an evil creature, the defendant must be acquitted and released. Nor must we forget the fact that it was the defendant's prompting that led to the commander's underhanded destruction of his own companions, naming the trial documents as the Free Crusaders. The juror is now called to give his testimony. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? Not a chance. We're in court, aren't we? After considering this for a moment, the judge declares, very well, it's up to you. I'll be able to sense what is true and what is a lie anyway. What do you have to say as regards to the, what do you have to say to? What do you have to say as regards the change? Charge, not change. Oh. The judge checks the scroll. Your spiritual temptation and corruption by the defendant with the aim of leading you onto the path of hell. Well, that didn't happen. Objection. The witness's words ring hollow. Objection sustained. The witness should know that the court records clearly The witness should know that the court records clearly show that the defendant took an active role in tempting the commander to join the forces of hell. The results of these efforts was the commander's signing of a contract that made him part of hell's hierarchy. I ask the witness to bear these facts in mind in his further testimony, even if he does not recall these events or doubts their veracity. Now at the defense counsel. I have no doubt that the defendant's sole concern was ensuring his own benefit. Perfectly correct. The defendant's corruption of the commander was based on self-serving motives and nothing more. In case you're wondering, he has no interest whatsoever in the Crusader cause. The court understands the witness's view. Moreover, the court considers it entirely sensible. Let's look at the defendant's future. While the defendant's nature has been subjected to chaotic changes, the defendant remains part of the devil hierarchy. Thus, the prosecution argues that he will continue to work lawfully toward its advancement, fearing brutal execution if he does not. This means that lawfulness prevails over evil within the defendant, and so he should cease his unnatural existence in accordance with the law. The defense vehemently rejects this argument. Every hierarchy has its renegades from time to time, and the defendant's selfish nature will inevitably lead him to desert hell. Given this, the defense considers evil to be the dominant aspect of the defendant's nature, and therefore insists on full acquittal. Yet not at the defense counsel. If even now the defendant is looking for a way to escape punishment for his abnormality, then in the future, you should not hesitate to break the law. Indeed, the defendant is seriously considering absconding from this trial. The court agrees with the juror. The defendant's prospective actions are as clear as day. Now that the court has considered all the circumstances of the case and taken into account the questions and responses of the juror, it will issue its verdict. The defendant has been found not guilty on all accounts. On all counts. Well, I've exonerated myself in my own eyes, and now I must flee. My kind will not show me the same leniency. Farewell, Commander. You ever consider betraying hell, or any other mighty power, you know who to turn to. You sense that the ground beneath your feet is a little shakier than before. The colors around you seem to blur slightly, and the sounds you hear blend and mix together. Your actions have violated the order and stability of this place. Another for chaos, so I'm 4 and 4. We got True Serenity. The shirt grants its wearer spell resistance 34 against the enemies of chaotic alignment. Seems pretty good. What is this? Huh, okay, well. Alright. I'm going to call the episode here, and the next one will clear out these last 2 rifts here in Threshold. Then we have a few quests to take care of in Eyes, and we'll just go from there. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to rest off camera. I'll probably wait till the next episode to do it before we head to Eyes. Because I think we can handle these fights without having to rest. But we'll see. Either way, for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.